Is it true that only 271,000 people died in the Holocaust? Of course not. This is one of the stupidest lies you'll ever hear about the Holocaust, but it's incredibly easy to call out, so let's do it. So this claim is based on this document, which we're told is from the Red Cross, but it isn't at all. It's a forgery, and it's a really bad forgery for that matter as well. For example, the German word here, Anzahl, doesn't mean total deaths, it simply means quantity. Anyway, despite what you might have read, this letter isn't from the Red Cross. It's actually from a German government agency called the Sonderstandesamt, or Special Registry Office. And the job of this agency was to issue death certificates after the war for a very small number of concentration camp victims on the basis of wartime paperwork that already documented the deaths of those people by name. So the figures you're actually looking at in this letter are not death tolls. They're the quantities of death certificates for a very small number of people at a very small number of Nazi camps. The reason why the number is only 271,000 is because the paperwork that the Sonderstandesamt needed in order to be able to issue a death certificate is very rarely available, either because it was lost or destroyed during the war, or usually because it never existed in the first place. The vast majority of those who died in the camps were killed shortly after they arrived, without ever being registered into them on an individually identifiable basis. Here, for example, is a photo of Hungarian Jews waiting to enter crematorium 2 or 3 at Auschwitz-Birkenau after having just arrived at the camp. The building in the background is crematorium 3, and the photo, taken by a member of the camp's political department, is captioned "Nicht mehr einsatzfähige Frauen und Kinder", women and children no longer fit for labour. However, the Nazis did keep extremely accurate records of the amounts of people sent to the camps. For example, in the first draft of his report on how Europe's Jewish population had changed since the Nazis came to power, SS Sturmbannführer, or Major Richard Korher, wrote that by the end of 1942, nearly 1.5 million Jews sent to camps like Treblinka and Sobibor had been given special treatment, which was a widely known euphemism in the Nazi state for killing. In fact, its real meaning was so widely known that Heinrich Himmler, the chief of the SS, told Korher that at no point in the report must there be any reference to the special treatment of the Jews. Instead, the even more vague durchgeschleust, meaning processed, must be used. These Jews were simply to have been processed through camps in the East. Korher calculated that Europe's Jewish population was about 10 million before the Nazis came to power, and in a shortened edition of the report made for Hitler himself, he stated that Europe's Jewish population had halved since that time. Most importantly, Korher points out that only around half of that decrease, so 2.5 million people, is due to emigration. So what happened to the other 2.5 million Jews who could no longer be counted among Europe's Jewish population after 1942 without leaving Europe? The only possible conclusion is that they died. So with this in mind, and going back to this forged letter, the claim that only 271,000 Jews died in the Holocaust is very easily shown to be wrong, and figures in this region like 280,000 or 300,000 cannot possibly be considered as the Holocaust death toll whatsoever. Here's another letter from the Sonderstandesamt, which lists the amounts of death certificates it issued up until 31st of December 1983. Holocaust deniers sometimes try to use this document in order to claim that the figures in it refer to overall camp death tolls, but it's especially stupid to do that with this letter in particular, because it literally says at the bottom in German that these figures cannot be interpreted as overall camp death tolls. And finally, the Red Cross itself got so tired of people lying about the Holocaust in its name and pretending that this is Red Cross data, they've repeatedly stated in letters like this that they do not collect Holocaust death toll statistics, they have never done so, and that they wouldn't have been able to even if they'd wanted to. So, as you can see, there's absolutely nothing academic or intelligent or honest about claiming that the Holocaust death toll is only 271,000. This claim is very, very easily shown to be wrong and fraudulent, and the dishonesty behind it speaks for itself.